My name is Claire France Perez, and I'll be your presenter. I'm thrilled to bring you my retelling of the tale of the story of the Loathly Lady. She is a character in a tale by Chaucer in the Middle English period of the historic mythologies and stories about King Arthur. And so the tale goes like this. Um, she King Arthur, and this is my own retelling from memory, and so everyone can jump in and correct me if you feel like it. I am probably telling it with an angle to suggest some other things than might have already been read into it, and that is the point of the retelling. Let's go then to the hunting scene where King Arthur is walking around. Well, actually, they're horsing around. They're on their horses. They're hunting. And into the forest they want to shoot because there they see a big stag. I mean, a prize stag, many antlers, many years old. And so the king is uh, worried that his hunting party might make too much noise and alert the stag, which they can see from a distance. And so the king says, "No, no, I'm going to go in by myself. I'm going in on foot. I want this prize for myself." And when he finally gets within shooting range, he stations himself correctly. The stag is still standing where he can see him. We can imagine a beautiful silhouette against a bright sky. And off goes the arrow. The king makes his target, and he's a happy camper. Now, in this part of the tale, the situation in the forest changes very suddenly because while the king is dressing his stag and getting it ready to load on horses, and he can shout, I guess, far enough to where his hunting party can come and find him. All of this is part of the busy work that occurs right after a hunt. And to dress him means to, you know, skin the animal or take it apart or put its feet together on a rope and get it ready to be loaded onto a horse for hauling home. And during this activity, suddenly in his focus on the animal, he didn't see until it surprised him completely that in fact there was a green knight. Now I'm combining two stories if possible. Oh, all the literary experts will wag their finger at me and let me continue. Perhaps I'm telling the story of the Green Knight. That's possible because I'm not making a point about my literary acumen. I'm making a point about the structure of the tale. And so the king is surprised by the Green Knight. Now, here is a sturdy, tall, and vigorous figure in front of him, dressed entirely in green, and he's angry and shouts and scolds at the king, saying, "Dear sir, you have invaded into my forest and taken my animal, which I treasured, and you deserve to have your head lopped off." And he's ready to take an attack on the king. And the king, all surprised and still alone, is begging. He's saying, "Wait, can't we make a deal? Isn't there something I can do to make up? I thought this was my forest." You know, a lot of misunderstandings go this way. And the Green Knight is not too patient and then says, in a whim, says, "Well, okay, I'll give you a challenge. And if on this day, 1 year henceforth, if you can arrive with the correct answer to the question, what do women want? Then I will award you your life. So that means you must return to this very station, this very place in the forest, and meet me here and supply me with the right answer. And the king agreed. And so the rest of his hunting party, of course, joins him a little too late. And the king, instead of being enthused and feeling the victory of his successful shoot, is instead quite depressed and doesn't speak. And it's entirely noticeable, especially to his best friend, Gawain. Sir Gawain, the handsome knight, the handsomest knight probably in 3 counties, who knows. And so he rides in silence, and everyone is very quizzical about it, but it's the king, you don't question him too much. But around the fire that night, probably drinking brandy, the 2 men, Gawain and Arthur, begin a conversation in which Arthur confides the part of the story that no one else saw, which is the interview with the Green Knight and the promise. I'm just hoping I'm recording. Anyway, and so Gawain then learns from the king what happened and is ready to cheer his friend on and saying, look, this question is not above us. We can answer this question. We can tour the world. We can make a considered effort and a return in the year, and maybe we'll have the answer. They certainly didn't know, which is really hilarious. Actually, it's funny. And so they tour the world. They go about interviewing hither and thither and asking women, what do they want? Well, of course, some say, don't give me a vacuum cleaner for Christmas. And others say, I want, a faithful husband. And another one says, I would like to become pregnant. Another one says, and basically they collect 64,000 different answers. And it takes them a year, and it's bound into a giant book. And a year later, they're hunting just days before the appointed event near the edge of the forest. If you take a Jungian point of view, the forest itself is the unconscious. And to take your hunt near the edge of the forest is to question and enter into the unknown, or skirt it anyway. And the king sees a lady suddenly galloping and riding with them, and she is clothed in the most glorious raiment, they called it, the robes and velvet and headdress and various of her jewelry and her astonishing attire are far greater of a certain wealth or standing than he'd ever seen, and he's the king. And they stop in the meadow, and he realizes that this is probably the loathliest lady he's ever seen. Now, the description in the tale is so pretty. It's really fabulous because, of course, she has a mole and a bump and a crooked nose and a hair, apparently, that comes straight out of her nose, and partially bald, apparently quite ugly. But the amount of value, or the rich, fabulous gown that she's wearing is crazy. He's completely blown away. Never met this lady. He doesn't know what kingdom she comes from, and by all rights, he should know. He's confused. And they talk for a moment. Polite greetings are exchanged, and then she says, Highness, I know of the question whose answer you seek. And the king is curious. Oh, and he's perhaps going to collect one more answer for his 64,000 page book. And there's a moment in which he can get a good look at her, and she seems very sincere. And she says, "You know, it's my brother, that Green Knight." And of course, her gown is green, you understand. And she says, "And so I have the inside information for you." And the king is totally interested. "What inside information have you got?" And she says, "Well, wait a minute. Before I give you the answer, before I suggest anything that you might need, I need to know if there's something of value here for exchange. I mean, what do I get? If I give you this answer and it saves your life, then what do I get?" And the king was, "Wow, it saves my life. You can have anything you want. Whatever I can provide you in my kingdom, whatever is in my power to give, I will give." And she smiles and says, "Well, marriage to Sir Gawain is what I seek." And the king is, "Wait a minute." And now his demeanor changes just like it did when the Green Knight caught him. And he's about to cause his best friend to be committed in marriage to somebody that he can't imagine would satisfy his friend. He can't imagine that such a commitment, that such a promise on his behalf should be of, it's out of his control. I mean, he doesn't want to give this as a prize, but on the other hand, it means his life, and he has to really think this through. And so he consents under grievous pressure, and the lady says, "The answer, sir, is that a woman wants choice. She wants sovereignty. Something that we are complaining that we don't have right now in this world." And if you follow my posts on Facebook, you know that I'm pounding away at social justice issues for various themes follow this story, as you are probably hearing. Anyway, we'll finish the tale. So the king, after receiving this inside information, which should have given him elation, in fact, depresses him because it's going to involve a promise that he can't make personally. And this is difficult. And so once again, we set the scene where a fireplace has the two men, and it's the day after that they have to go find this Green Knight and give him the proper answer. And Arthur is beside himself with conflict and says to his best friend, "Gawain, you must marry the lovely lady." And to his surprise, and to Arthur's surprise, Gawain is very noble and says, "You know, this is a sacrifice that I make to you, my friend. I don't care about whether she is attractive to me or not. If this is what you need, I'm willing to make the sacrifice." Well, that's very grand. And Arthur sighs with some relief, and wedding plans are able to be set into motion. So within about 6 weeks' time, a procession is winding through the village, and apparently all the women, all the possible women that Gawain may have even spoken to, or even just winked at, were crying, upset. How can he marry this woman? And he rides forward, and she's in the second position, and all the flags. You can imagine the medieval sort of, or the Renaissance. I don't remember if it's the Middle English would be about 14th century. So pennants, and it's supposed to be cheering audiences. It's supposed to be a big occasion. It's the wedding of Sir Gawain. Why is this so sad? Women are crying. And so it's so interesting because this woman doesn't have any manners at the table. At the wedding banquet, why goodness, the juices drip from her chin, and she needs a hazmat suit, according to the story. And it drips. The juices drip. And in fact, it's in the story. It says the juices do drip from her elbows and from her nose and her chin, from the hair probably. Anyway, she's pretty repulsive. And midnight on the wedding day comes, and now the bride and groom are ascending to their chamber. And when they arrive, it's beautifully set up, and there's a lovely warm fire, and she goes behind a dressing screen, and Gawain waits for her in front of the fireplace. I'm thinking naked. That's just how I think. And when she reappears to him without the juices and the gown and all the finery, in her nakedness, she is incredibly beautiful. Her whole appearance is completely transformed. And Gawain is hoping for an explanation, but he knows better than to ask what happened. But she knows that she needs to tell him that she'd had a curse that consistently forced her to appear in public in her former persona, and that she could only appear beautiful at night and privately to him. And he had certainly heard from Arthur the whole tale. So when she offers him the possibility of being beautiful during the day but faithless to him, or being ugly during the day and being faithful, he swallowed hard and hoped his answer would be the correct one, and said, "But to you, lady, it is. I give you the choice. To you I give the choice. To you I give the sovereignty." And this broke the curse. She was both beautiful and faithful, day and night, and this is the end of this telling. It's the most interesting story because of all the values that have to be weighed and measured, and all the commitments that have to be, and sacrifices that have to be measured in. But I think the most important part of this is the question, what do women want? Now, permit me for a moment. I have to switch over because I prepared a few slides, and now I can share them with you. So hang on. what do women want is still unanswered because women haven't made the choice yet to tell the world what they want. And so the 64,000 different multiple answers are still confusing. And I hope to arrive at something more distilled that will enable us to get more insight out of this story. And so I will suggest that this quest is still unanswered. He, the king is always a ruling principle. This is sort of a mythologist's way of describing the role that the king has. His word is God, basically. His word is the authority of the kingdom. He has power over life and death. And therefore, in this feature, the ruling principle is being questioned, is being put through 64,000 interviews. Quite a long journey to arrive at what really is an insider problem to solve, which the Loathly lady did solve by giving him the right answer. Now, why is that the right answer? I will proceed. In this case, we are talking about a situation in which the king is challenged on his own ethics. His chivalry is so important. His gentlemanly, uh, his whole comportment of being fair and kind and wanting a just kingdom for his people. And so King Arthur is much loved, and he is the central feature of really the British sort of honor and chivalry, which still exists in some circles today. And so he proves himself a worthy gentleman by allowing himself to actually feel genuinely both the pain and the joy of all the experiences. And this is not something that he hides from his friend. So he's able to have a heart connection in choices that are difficult. And so this puts King Arthur in a category that we admire, because anybody trying to make difficult decisions from the heart, we can sympathize. And so to what is he really committed? Well, he's committed to chivalry. He's committed to his friend. And we understandably can see that chivalry really requires sacrifice. And so what is this answer really worth to the king? This is an important question, because if you are given the right solution right now, and you have an answer that really fits and really works, what's it worth to you? If it's worth your life, what value can you put on it? Can you put a price? It's interesting. If we put a little bit more emotion into the story, we get to this point where it's absolutely necessary to be truthful to oneself, to have intimate knowledge of what's in your own heart. But I'm afraid that we're only talking to each other, not really hearing or feeling each other. In this case, what value life has is something that is understood by women in a biological way. We are the givers of life. Men can't do that. And biologically, it is part of the ethic of a woman to want more for her children, let's say. And I think this is true for women who have had or not had any children. I think that it's nearly universal. I would suggest that maybe 8% of women really want a better world for their children. They really, really want to watch children play in joyous innocence and protected in that bubble of childhood, left innocent, even even into adulthood, to be able to retain one's innocence. And what is innocence then? I think innocence really is a portrayal of joy. And so, what women, and this is the Old English, the women desiring to have sovereignty. They desire to be able to make their own choices. They want to be able to say, yeah, I'll have with the fries. I'll have fries with that. Yeah. I'll have the green instead of the red. I will have the option to choose, is what I think the answer that I'm satisfied with in this tale. The option to choose a man, or whether to have a child, or whether to pursue education, or pursue her writing, or her creativity. In all cases, what we're talking about is the choice to pursue joy. What is joy and where do we find it? Well, as I get older, there's a problem with joy. It's harder and harder to have it sort of spontaneously. I mean, we create these events, we say happy birthday, or we say congratulations, or we say welcome. And in each case, we hope that there's a little joy that attends that. But we're in a hurry. We've got to pay the bank. And so we forget. And as you get older, I think, anyways, it's my opinion, maybe you have a different experience, sure would like to know. But joy is a little harder and harder to conjure. And so what this leaves us with is the kind of a gap, because it felt so natural, joy or innocence, when we were younger. It felt so spontaneous. It felt like it came toward us. It felt like if the environment had the joy that we could participate. But it's harder when the environment lacks that joy, and now we have to do the work of conjuring it. And so as you age, or at least I'm finding this now that my hair is gray, as I age, it's a little harder to conjure joy, to conjure the choice, to conjure what is really in my heart that I really want. Now, part of this is a problem of how consciousness works, because what we're hoping is not to contribute to the negativity. And so you find people who say, oh, no, I don't want to even hear negative. My sister is like that. Ooh, she'll kill me for saying that. There's so many fears about what is negative. But, if we don't have the yin and the yang, then we don't have a true universe. We don't have unity. In order to create unity, we need both halves of the paradigm. And so negativity, however, is really being thrust at us as if it were an ethic, as if it were the ruling principle. And I think that's what the person who fears negativity is really protesting. How much of it is coming at us? It's a lot. And we need to conjure joy in the face of so much negativity. And so, imagining choice in my, because choice, when I get to the store and I'm looking for something and, oh, there it is, I found it, which is Google's business of search. I then, for an instant, reaching for the item that I'm looking for, have a sense of joy. Yeah, great. Now I can get on with paying the man and get off with the rest of my life. And so I want to slow things down, and so I'm talking pretty slow, I know, and ask about joy. Ask about how you conjure joy. What is the effort that you need to do in order to stay positive, so to speak? In order to, actually, I think the real question in order to respond to a negative world by staying within your own commitment for chivalry. And it's a sacrifice because you have to be able to say, I just heard that, but my response is different. And so we're going to be digging deeper and deeper into the matter of choice, because the matter of choice is about what joy brings you, and choice is for joy. I think really, if we extend this story and say to ourselves that we don't just want sovereignty, which is, yes, we would like to be queen in our own royal kingdom, or queendom, I should say. We want to have those choices. We want to be able to have power over life and death in our own realm. That's the word. And so that life and death is maybe killing off a bad habit. That's the death of that habit, or a life bringing in a new habit and elevating it and causing it to be more present and more the principle. And so we live our lives that way in the sense of conjuring joy, finding, let's say, the weight loss exercise that really worked. Yay, it's working. And so we encourage, it's an interesting word, encourage, the French. My name is France, so I'm going to be talking about the French. In the French, you have courage is a word that has the root and the basis is cœur, heart. So courage means heart, not just heart. It means joy. I'm going to stand for it. I'm going to really foresee it for myself and for my family. I'm really going to make it happen. Now, some families go to Disneyland and that provides them joy, but it comes from a courageous place to pay all that money for that joy. I mean, every joy takes courage, takes heart. And so I'm offering a course, and I want to be able to present that course to you from the position of choice. Obviously, you have a choice. And the course really does ask, what do you want? But now it's, what do you really want? What makes you feel more heart, more alive, more joy? What is that for you? Now, of course, you have choice. I'm going to give you the choice. Call me chivalrous. But really, it's a serious question, because if you know what you want, but it doesn't contain joy, you can manifest part of it, but not the whole thing. You can manifest sort of a manipulated version of what you want, but not really the integral, true spirit of your quest. So Mandala manifesting is a product that I've created. It's original. I don't borrow from anybody, but I'm asking a lot of questions about what you want. And in this fashion, you learn how to manifest. Manifesting is, I think, a reorganization of the chaos of molecules, like one of those characters in Star Trek that time travels and arrives where you are. It's sort of arriving from the dissolute into something completely manifest. But manifesting always starts with the question, what do you want? And so in the course we have, and it will be developed for a long time, and right now we have an opportunity, and I want to give to the first few people that can come and take advantage of what I'm talking about here in the course, and let you know here that it's a video course. It has homework assignments, and it has very practical as well as visionary exercises for you to follow, one of them being coloring of the mandala. Now, these mandalas are free on my page, and you can download them and color at will. What I hope that you will do is color a mandala and upload it to that page. It's called Mandala Calendar on Facebook. And I'd like to see your version of joy in those colors. We're going to have voting on it, and so I'm going to vote for me, but I'd like to see what people think. You can post this on Facebook and Instagram or on Twitter with the hashtag Mandala 2016, all in one word. And you'll be able to enter your um, friends into voting for you when you do that. I want to see you upload your coloring to the actual page, and there's a place for you if you press on the contest button, and you'll find the contest on the Mandala Calendar page. Let's get creative here and really sink in as to what we really want. Creating your choice is what manifesting is about. I invite you to come over and join me. I'm offering the course for $40 for a limited time because naturally that's not going to go on for very long. I want you to come over and take advantage of that. And the first few that do join happen to be able to get the coloring book. Anyway, I want to thank you for participating by watching, and I appreciate your participation. Thank you. This has been Claire France Perez, astrologer and author. I look forward to meeting you. Please come over and join me at the Mandala Calendar and check out the Mandala Manifesting page for all the videos, the contest, and so many creative things that are there for your needs and for your choice. Thank you.